Hi there, and thank you so much for joining me again. In today's video, I want to try and answer a question that I've been hearing a lot lately, and that is, how well do the older generation MPCs perform with the new firmware versus the Live 3? And is the new horsepower a big enough reason to upgrade from a Live 2, 1, or MPC X to the next generation of MPCs? With me today, I have the new Live 3 and my old MPC X SE, and I'm going to be testing out how much of a difference in speed and capabilities these two have. Now, let's start by a good old-fashioned boot up race. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, so while we wait for these to boot up, a little bit of technical context. The MPC 1, Live 2, and MPC X and SE share the same processor, but the Live 2, 1, and X have 2 gigs of RAM, and the X SE and Key 61 get 4 gigs. The processor on the new Live 3 is a second generation 8-core ARM processor, and it has a much heftier 8 gigs. And there we go, it booted up already, and we're still waiting on this old gal. Come on, baby, you still got it. Okay, so right off the bat, you can see that this is a lot faster. The processor matters in this case because it allows the MPC to use new stem separation software, which is supposed to be way better than the old one. Okay, so now both have booted up, and I'm gonna go for a new project on both. Despite the difference in RAM, and since the MPC now has disk streaming, I wouldn't worry so much about RAM if you're mainly going to be doing sample-based music. I think the extra RAM will come in handier, especially for heavy plugin and effects users like me. And come to think of it, I did feel a difference when I upgraded from the Live 2 to the X SE with double the RAM. Now, even though I was really happy that we got Native Instruments plugins, it was there that I first started seeing a little bit of, dare I say, lag, or at least that the first time that I saw that the MPC was putting in a lot of work to load them. Now, something I really do appreciate about the way that Akai have been handling their upgrades is that they've always made sure that their software is heavily optimized, and they have been careful not to make older MPC users feel neglected when they launch new hardware like this one. In the case of old MPCs versus the Live 3, you can run the same plugins, but you will have a limit of 8 plugins and audio tracks on this previous generation versus the new 32 plugins and 16 audio tracks, which is straight up DAW territory. In terms of storage, the Live 3 and MPC X SE come with more junk in the trunk than the previous generation, but it's more important to remember that in all of these models, storage can be easily and cheaply upgraded with either an SD card or an additional hard disk. So I don't think storage should be a major concern when you're comparing or thinking about buying one or the other. Now, let's load up a few of the Native Instruments plugins, because those are like the heavier ones. So I'm going to go here and Cloud Supply, and I'm going to get a new plugin, which is also going to be Cloud Supply. So again, 1, 2, 3. Okay, just a few seconds difference, not that much. Now let's load a few different presets and see how fast or slow this is to load. Same presets. The XSE takes a few seconds longer, but I don't think it's really something to lose any sleep about. Okay, so for this next test, what I have is the exact same project loaded up on both MPCs, which is basically 7 instances of Cloud Supply, which is pretty resource hungry. I have my clips set up here, so I have these 7 running at the same time. And if I do that, then the CPU goes around 85 to 77% usage. And if I go to my clips here, let's compare it to 27% CPU and just 9% of the RAM.
Hey, you there. Yes, you. Are you tired of playing your synths in your dusty old studio all the time? Well, worry no more and break free with Analog Cases. Analog Cases makes custom cases that are both comfortable and stylish. They have cases for everything from sensible analog polysynths to tiny overpriced groove boxes and beyond. Take your music wherever you go. With Analog Cases, we got you covered. Analog Cases does not recommend taking your synths into molten lava or into endoscopies.
Thank you so much, Analog Cases, for supporting this channel and helping me keep the lights on. Now, back to the video. Now I'm going to duplicate the plugin track on both MPCs and see how long they take. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that was pretty fast. And it just loaded over here. Not a huge difference, but let's see what happens if we go to the clip view and copy, paste, copy, paste. Let's see what happens with the CPU with all of these instances at the same time. Okay, now this is over 100%, 125% on the X SE, and breezy 29-31% on the Live 3. Now, that is of course to be expected, and remember, I still have 24 tracks left available here besides 16 tracks of audio. Now, another interesting bit of information that might be useful to you is that in their efforts to further optimize this software, Akai have limited not only the plugin tracks and the audio tracks, but they've also limited the amount of, for example, Air Reverb Pro, which is pretty CPU hungry and I imagine RAM hungry. Now, since I only got 4 instances of Air Reverb Pro on the X SE, I figured why not see what the limit is on the Live 3. There we go. Only 16 instances of Air Reverb Pro are permitted in standalone. 16 versus 4. Now, I want to try out what happens with the clip view if I populate all of these clips. And 16 instances of Air Reverb Pro gives me, how about that? 55% of the CPU, 14% of the RAM. That is very, very impressive. I think the main takeaway here is that if you do own a previous generation MPC, it still works great and it can do a lot within the restrictions so it doesn't get overburdened. I'm really happy because I love my MPC X and I was kind of worried it would be pummeled to the ground by the Live 3. So I think that the Pro Pack is actually a great option if you don't need the 16 tracks of audio or the 32 plugin tracks. There are a few quality of life features that Live 3 has that are nice to have, but not necessarily essential. For example, the dedicated buttons here on the Live 3 for easy access to the arranger or the matrix, which you don't have on the older MPCs, but you can easily route that by going into main, and I can go here into the arranger, or I can directly go into clip view. And this is all customizable. Just go into menu, you can long click this and you can drag and drop. But I can't access currently the clip view to the arrange immediately. I have to go back to main and go back to this menu so I can switch between back and forth. It would be really cool if later on Akai would let you customize the buttons on the front panel, so you could, for example, make shift and main go to the clip matrix. That way it might be easier to adapt the physical buttons to the new software functions. Now, thankfully, this is nowhere near the disconnect between software and hardware that I felt with other devices like the SP404 Mark II. And it's definitely a minor inconvenience if you think about all the power you can have in a machine that you already own. Personally, I think there are mainly 2 aspects of the Live 3 that would make me really consider upgrading if I had an older MPC or a Live 2, X1, what have you. First and foremost are the new pads. Aside from the XY and MPE functionality, they just feel so much better than the old ones. My dear X SE's pads feel so stiff now compared to the ones on the Live 3. Now, I'll say it again, I would not be surprised at all if we found out later that Native Instruments was the one that gave Akai the secret recipe for the pads, because they're absolutely amazing. They're silky smooth while also being insanely responsive, and they might just be my favorite pads on any device so far, which was the title previously held by the Push 3. The second reason to upgrade is, at least for me, this little thing right here, the onboard mic of the Live 3. I said it already on my OPXY video. I think if you make a portable sampler, just like this one, battery incorporated sampling, multi-groove box sequencer, an onboard microphone should be mandatory by law. It just expands your creativity and possibilities so much when you don't have to hook up any external devices or even set up a microphone stand to record a vocal or a guitar track. I've been using the internal mic a lot lately and I don't think I can go back now. So anyway, those are my thoughts about the new generation compared to the old one. I'd love to know what you think. Are you thinking about upgrading to the Live 3 or maybe going for a Pro Pack with a Live 2 or X or X SE? Or are you going to go full vintage and keep your MPC just as is? Please let me know in the comments below, and also tell me what you'd like to see in the further exploration of these machines in my next videos. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video useful, or at least entertaining. Have a great week. I'll see you next time.